Today, I'm talking to Jon Rowe, who is literally making water from air, leaving the corporate world of the video games industry to become an entrepreneur, forced Jon to put away his ego and find creative ways to build his business. Jon has partnered with Wally Iverson, the inventor of the tech behind Airqua, to help people access fresh, clean water without relying on government supply. I'm excited to hear Jon's stories of how he has overcome the hurdles life has thrown his way. To support our podcast, please check out the sponsors in the description, where you'll also find links to contact me with questions and feedback. And now, here's Jon Rowe.
Hello, Jon. Welcome to the Joe Show, and thank you for making the time to come on.
Yes, good morning, Joe. Good morning to all the listeners and viewers. Wonderful to be here, and look, thank you so much for inviting me via wonderful John Harmer.
Yes, yeah, he's a good one. So I am very interested in what you do, and basically the headline is you make water from air, and you help people do that in their own homes, which is fantastic. With all the challenges people have getting clean water, even in civilized society. So I'm very interested to hear more about that. And also just any challenges and surprises along the way in building your business would be really great to inspire other business builders who might need a little bit of that get up and go. You keep going with what they're building at the same time, which is why we do the show. So
Sure.
Let's maybe start with a little bit of the who you are and what you do. If you could just go into that, that'd be great.
Yeah, okay. So my background is in sales and marketing. I worked for many years in the video gaming industry. So if there's any gamers out there, you would remember some of my work, such as WWE SmackDown versus Raw, Juiced, and Destroy All Humans with a wonderful company called THQ. My last job was in Los Angeles, working as a global brand manager on WWE, and met a lot of the wrestlers and a lot of really good people. And then came back to Australia in 2008. And then decided to start my own businesses to give me the freedom to be able to do what I want to do and not be upholden to, share prices and upper management and just basically I just wanted to raise a family and be there, be present. So the first business that I started was a Jim's mowing business, pretty much because and we'll go into this later about the challenges of starting up a business is cash flow. It's immediate cash flow. And from there, it gives you a hell of a lot of flexibility to be able to do stuff. And by the way, it made me fit as a fiddle as well.
It doesn't hurt, does it? That's an excellent bonus.
That's right. So fast forward a few years, and about 4 years ago, I might be 5 now, I was listening to the BBC on the radio. I was suffering from a bit of insomnia at the time. BBC is a wonderful cure for insomnia. Before I dropped off, I heard this story about floods just ripping through Pakistan, wiping out infrastructure, wiping out villages. People were dying. It was horrific, and it's quite similar to what's happening over in the subcontinent at the moment. It's really, really sad. And one of those things was, although water was everywhere, that people were suffering and dying because they couldn't get a clean glass of water. And it just really struck a chord with me, with two young daughters of my own, who I love dearly. And, as center of my world, as I mentioned, I wanted to get out of the corporate life so I can be a proper dad. So they're central to my life, and thinking, it's often said that the next world war is going to be fought over clean drinking water. And I want to do something about that, not to help the people who are going through horrendous circumstances, with natural disasters, but also let's try and stop this conflict over resources when we've got a massive resource that's untapped, being humidity.
And it's crazy, isn't it, in this modern world with so much at our fingertips, that water is still a problem. That blows my mind, and I like that you're doing something about it, and it's quite innovative. So tell me what it is that you do, what it is that you do is so different to, I guess, what people see out there on the shelf.
Yeah. So rather than have plastic bottles, which we hate, the terrible environmental consequence that they have, and unlike a water cooler plumbed in, these machines get humidity out of the air. They condense it over a cooling coil, and then it's collected and then filtered through 7 stages of filtration to give good drinking water. And we can also add an option of remineralization at the end as well, to put all the good stuff back into the water that you're drinking as well. So that's what we do. In essence, that's what the machines are. So from a small little 15 litre per day unit that could sit in a caravan or a tiny home or apartment, right up to 5,000 litres per day units for commercial and industrial applications, and everything in
it seems to me, if I've got this right, that you've taken something that was an existing technology and tweaked it, which is often what the smartest inventions do. Tell me how.
Yeah, it's for the layperson, it's smushing together a dehumidifier, a refrigerator, and a water cooler, and a filtering system, and it's genius technology. That was developed in Australia by a gentleman named Wally Iverson, who's my business partner, out of Woodford, Queensland. It's just
Go Woodford.
yeah, it's a fantastic story, and I got to know him about 4 or 5 years ago when I was looking for a solution, and we just complemented each other well, and away we went.
And it's quite it's portable, isn't it? You don't need to be plugging it into the walls. So, as you say, for vans or off-grid.
Both. They can work on mains power, but also, they can be plugged into solar, 24-volt solar, to be able to provide the drinking water. So
it's fantastic, really great. I actually see a lot of many conversations online. A developer in Portugal I follow, Levels, who's got quite upset at the power failures in Portugal, and not being, I guess for him it was, being able to, realizing you can't rely on the government, and he's since gone and put in solar, and he said that he had trouble communicating to the solar installers that he needed it to be off grid, and they're saying why. And so just now that he can run, everything he needs to with solar, but taking it a step further and having the ability to make water on the solar is a fantastic thing. I know here in the Whitsundays when we had Cyclone Debbie, there's a risk that the water gets turned off for a period of time.
Yeah.
Be able to make your own water. Again, as you say, there's plenty out there, but it can be pretty dirty. It's a fantastic option that I think is very well thought out.
Yeah, thank you. Humidity's everywhere. So it's taking that giant resource, a giant natural resource that we have in humidity, an inexhaustible supply of water, if you like. And when you power that with an inexhaustible supply of energy, being the sun, you've got water anywhere in the world, anytime, forever.
So even when I lived at Burt for a while, they still used evaporative water cooler air conditioning in the that we lived in. So that, it feels like it's a dry place out there, but obviously still enough humidity for those things to be working, and us having to empty the water chamber. So when I think about that, that's very cool that yours could work even in quite arid environments.
Yeah, it's a genius of the technology that when they get below, when the humidity gets below 30%, they turn themselves off because they're no longer viable to be able to, and they're just grabbing power for very little output. Anything above 30%, and they're going to start working and start producing.
In terms of location, what's the most unusual story you've heard from a customer where they're using your products?
One of the best stories is putting 500 litres into a Mexican school to provide them clean, fresh drinking water for the kids. And it also has a toilet block and a hand basin attached to it as well. So it's providing enough for those kids to have clean drinking water and sanitary water solutions for their business.
That's so cool. What about, we spoke the other day in terms of health-wise, just tell me the story there of the mother who was buying one of your machines. I should know the proper word instead of calling them a machine. What do you call them?
Atmospheric water generators is there.
Atmospheric water generator. Thank you. I'll get used to the term.
That's okay. It's a bit of a mouthful, so if you like, just AWG and then.
AWG to me is the guy on Moonshots, Dr. Alex Wiesner-Gross, they call him AWG. He's like insane smart. So I can remember atmospheric water generator if I think of AWG. That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, one of the great stories that we've got is a young mum with a young baby who was suffering dreadful acid reflux, and they couldn't work out why. And they tried everything, doctors' medications, they tried natural therapies, they tried everything possible. And then they bought one of these machines, one of these AWGs, and it cleared up overnight. What it was an allergy to the chlorine in the water, making the baby have that dreadful acid reflux. So the baby's all of a sudden sleeping, calmed down, mother's happy, baby's happy.
Wow.
And it's just a wonderful story.
That makes me wonder how many, like the numbers of people dealing with issues and heading off to the doctor and not finding an answer. That could be just the water, that they're taking in. That's very interesting.
Yeah, well, here on the sunny coast, most times when you turn the tap on for drinking water, you can smell and taste the chlorine that's in there. And it has its use, chlorine, but it can be really overpowering, and it can be, as you say, it can be detrimental to people's health.
Well, I know that here in the Whitsundays, we literally scrape the calcium off our shower walls that comes from the water out of our tap with a paint scraper. I'm not joking. So when I think of what they're happy to put into people's bodies, I'm quite unnerved by that. And I do think it's really important for people to take control of their life, their world, so the food we eat, the water we drink, the environment that we spend our time in, what goes into our minds, the whole thing. So very excited to see what you're doing with these atmospheric water generator machines, the AWGs.
Very good.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful solution for islands, because on islands you've either got to truck water in or ship water in, or use desalination. And desalination has its own challenges, which we could spend a whole nother show on. But and these can be used for drinking water. That can be used for all of the water needs of a household.
I think that's important. Let's just go back into that for a minute with desalination, because as someone, I'm planning to live on a boat long term, and so I look into water makers, and I'm familiar with broadly desalination ideas. And I've often wondered why, considering we live on the coast, why we don't just have massive desalination plants for our water production. So I am interested into why, when you say it's the challenges, if you could go into that, that would be great.
The challenges are around the amount of energy that they consume, but also you've got a byproduct, being the salt, and how do you deal with that? Where do you put that? Are you putting that back into the ecosystem? Is that making significant changes to the ecosystem? And that's the biggest challenges that I see for the technology.
Okay, so really good for islands, good for anybody living off grid, camping, vans or tents or whatever.
Absolutely. We also sell off grid power batteries that run the water machines for 6 hours, and start to finish with no power input.
And obviously good in the suburbs as well. What would you do if somebody's living in an apartment and they haven't got like a roof to put solar on? How would you handle it with that?
Again, you'd probably use mains power for that particular situation.
I guess, yeah, or maybe somewhere on your veranda. I don't know. Depends, doesn't it? Yeah, interesting one there. But there's so many applications for even just suburban life and off-grid. I think it could really be a game changer for people. Again, just taking control of what their families being exposed to.
Yeah, right. And you're also taking back the control of the supply and the control of how much money you spend on water. You're controlling how much budget you're putting towards it. like buy one of these machines, or these AWGs, and your outlay from then on is filters, either 6 months, 12 months, or 2 years for the reverse osmosis. And so a water company can't come back to you and say, "Oh, we're going to increase our prices," because you're controlling your own.
What have you found, when you say initially you liked, I remember you saying to me that you liked the technology so much you bought the business, and Wally, who has developed it, has stayed on as your business partner, which I think is fantastic for that tech aspect. How have you gone in, I guess, building the business up to get the word out? Obviously, with marketing, it's, you have to have a product that people want. You have to find the people who need it, and then in a cost-effective way, get that message out there so they know it's available. How have you tackled that?
Yeah, so I've actually written a chapter of a book on this it's called The Sniff of an Oily Rag. So running your life and your business off the sniff of an oily rag, which for those who are unaware of the term, it's an old mechanics term that a motor or a car is just so efficient that it doesn't actually need petrol, it'll just run off the sniff of an oily rag. It's a bit of a joke. It just talks to the efficiency. That's kind of the what's what I'm saying, trying to say. That's kind of the philosophy that I started once I got out of the corporate world. Corporate world had a very well paid job, and you just sort of you don't sort of value money as much. So part of this chapter was talking about key points of using free marketing, if you like, and one of the main things that we talk about is networking. Go out and meet people and talk about it. And that's very specific to these machines. And I've hauled one in a car all around the country, just talking to people about the machines, because once they see it, once they taste the water, they actually get it. They understand it. And it's not some science fiction thing. For all those Star Wars heads out there like me, 77, George Lucas predicted this, and the key character, Luke Skywalker, and his uncle were actually farming water. They were harvesting water. So when I got into touch with these machines, they immediately made sense from that geek point of view.
Fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. So that's the first step. Is it's free to get out and talk to people. And I don't think I've ever sold a machine. I've just talked about what I'm extremely passionate about, if that makes sense. And people buy that, and they buy into me and the authenticity of me and the machines. And once they see them working, they say, well, this is actually not a scam. That's number one.
Once people see the mission, they're very happy to get involved because they want to be part of doing something good. So, yes.
That's right. That's right. And another rabbit hole I could take you down as well is I don't need that much money to live, because I've lived by this philosophy of sniff of an oily rag. So it is as much about just making my family comfortable as it is about changing the world and doing stuff that is actually going to make a difference for when I'm gone and, for future generations after me. That's a huge part of it for me. But back to the marketing, other free marketing, I go on about this at every meeting that I do. I'm part of a BX networking group. Almost every meeting I talk about Google local or Google business profile.
Yes, very important.
It is the most underutilized tool in marketing, and it's free.
Agreed.
And it literally puts you on the map.
Yes.
Because you'll see in the search results that Google comes up with, part of that is a map.
Yes.
So if you've got a very strong Google search profile, free, then that can go a long way to any service business, any product business with a local, that you can have a local focus.
It's actually not just constrained to local business either. I use it for e-commerce businesses, even if they sell worldwide. I find that really helps their results in Google if there's a good business listing for that business. Very, very important. And as you say, completely overlooked by so many people. And think of the number of times you've been in a city and you've wanted to find something and they didn't show up on the map. You would have gone there and spent money, but they hadn't put their listing up. So you didn't even know they were there. They were invisible. So Google business listings are like, yes, as you say, step one, do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And as a follow on to that, there's so many other local marketing platforms out there aside from Google.
Yes.
Most of them free. Put your business on there and it will give you a backlink to your website, one of the key parts of search engine optimization, which is a lovely segue. Search engine optimization and now optimizing for AI is a massive thing.
Yes.
Really for search, I'll talk Google first, and it's probably no different to AI in terms of you write your content to solve people's problems. People are going to ask questions like, what do I do if I run out of water? How can I make my own water? What's the healthiest water that's out there? Start answering those questions, and Google will say, these people know what they're talking about, and give you a better authority score. So that's number one, is your content. The second is getting your keywords right. And again, free is a tool called Google Keyword Planner. And
Yes.
Google Keyword Planner, you just type in what you think your business is doing, what problem you think it's solving, and it'll spit out thousands of keywords for you to have a look at. And the sweet spot is when you've got a relatively high amount of searches on your Google that happen per month from customers asking questions and have a very low competition. That's what you zoom in on. So for me, for example, if I was to go into water coolers as a keyword, massive competition. You've got to take me 10, 15 years to break into that. But atmospheric water generators, easy. Water from air, easy. So that's the gold. You don't need to be targeting those 100,000 K per month keywords if they've got extremely high competition. Pick out a niche, and one of them might be 1,000 searches a month. If you're top of that list, you're going to do some very great business out of it. All free.
Absolutely. And building on that for free, Google Search Console is lovely to pair with that, because what it will do is show you the queries people typed in, the actual ones they used, and the page that Google showed them. And so then you can look at the rankings and click-through rates and engagement rates and go back to your AI and say, how can we make this better? How can we improve that in these rankings? You might find something that's sitting at position 12 and you want to get it into the top 8. So it's definitely worth working on, I would say, every week in every business. These are the basics that a lot of people are not covering, and they're leaving money on the table by not doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to AI has a wonderful place for content generation. Again, free. We love free, but don't rely on it. Even the head of Google in a recent interview, I think it was 2 weeks ago, said use AI for what it's for. Don't blindly rely on it.
Yes.
So the anecdote that I use is, remember going back into school and you're doing a project or you're doing an essay, and you find all these books, and if you take slabs of this book and just write it down on a piece of paper as your own, the teacher knows straight away. This is plagiarism. Google and AI are very much the same. Is this just copy and pasted from AI and is written by a robot, or is this actually written by a human? Has this got some theatre, if you like, behind it? Has it got some emotion behind it? Has it got real life experiences behind it? Has it got opinion? That type of thing. So writing your content, that's a big one too, but all of these tools free.
That's right. I actually sent an email out to my list a couple of weeks ago. Toast being the new, I guess, authority maker, because AI obviously has access to all the information out there, but we as unique individuals have our own taste. And it's when you can bring that. I was talking with Kim in episode 1 about building a business that suits who you are, and we all have different aspects of our personality. And if we try to build a business in a way that doesn't fit those at the start, we're going to have trouble and find challenges there to staying our head against things. But also with our products, our taste and the way we present them, as I say, have an opinion, have a story, a point of view that AI isn't going to come up with. A well-trained AI can write very well. I've had one that I've put the owner's tone into and examples, and it spat out some stuff that brought tears to his eyes, and I had to tell him I wrote this. But they do degenerate over time, like little kids who are a bit distracted, and they start to fail and, do retraining as well. And there is nothing like sitting down as a human and writing something that you've come up with that has your distinct taste and point of view, as you say, to really connect with other people.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And that's a really, really good point, and that's the new marketing is connection, one-to-one connection or one-to-many connection. So whether you're writing or you're out there talking to people, making those connections is going to be the new superpower in marketing.
Definitely. I think there'll be two streams. One will be fully automated, which will have its place, but there will be a lot of people who want to keep the humanity in things. And they will certainly be gravitating towards in-person events, real human customer service. And I think it's enormously important. Tara Sartoria, I'm wearing her shirt, beautiful silk products. Tara, we joke that it's the worst use of her PhD ever because she does all the customer service herself and just is determined to make sure she looks after every single person who buys from her and doesn't want to farm that out, which is highly unusual for e-commerce. But I think it's a beautiful point of difference, and we see it in the way that the customers respond and come back to order 13 times, So
yeah,
I think what you do with getting out and talking to people and just, building those connections. And then I know that you would give very good service if they had questions about the product. You're there. So it's fantastic.
Absolutely. And I follow it through to the end. And then every 6 months, you'll get an email from me. Oh, by the way, your filters are due to be changed over, and continuing that. It's continuing.
Love the reminders. It's fantastic. I do things I live by list and reminders. Awesome.
Yeah. It's just a basic service, and it's just so easy to set up with automation.
Yes, it is. So where would you like to take the business, Airqua? Where do you see it? Maybe I'm not going to say 5 years' time. Things are moving so quickly. Well, let's say 3 years' time. Where would you like to see it?
First of all, one of the things that I want to tackle is data centers and their use of water. There is a report out there from one of the major data center providers or builders in Australia that suggested or that stated that each data center goes through 130,000 litres of water from the public system, from our drinking water system every day, which is, you add that up and that's a lot of water that's coming out.
Yes.
That's coming out of the public system. So I think that that's almost a no-brainer for the amount of dollars that they're spending and investing on these data centers. They've done a great job on how to power them, but I don't think anyone's really looked at, okay, how do we solve the water supply problem? Because they've got to cool their machines. That's just the way it is. AI has created this massive demand for computation, and they're fulfilling a great service in these data centers in terms of providing the computing power to give us AI, but we've got to be able to do it sustainably, not only power, but in water terms as well. So that
Airqua would have the capacity to be able to help those data centers create the water that they need.
That's right. Yeah. And at least be, if not all of the solution, but at least be a part of the solution. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, there's so many people in Australia that don't have access to clean drinking water, or it's got too many microplastics or too much chlorine and what have you. So that is my second aim, is providing that option to all of Australians to be able to have access to clean drinking water. And then we're looking at, okay, how do we then take this to places like the subcontinent? How do we get partners over there who can be on the ground and dealing with these, dealing with the day to day? How do we get the south of the USA to do the same thing? Florida, the Californias, the Texases of the world, where there isn't enough humidity. How do we get them involved? How can we help out the massive surgeons of West Africa who don't have the infrastructure there, but have really beautiful people and really they do have access to sorry, they do have a lot of humidity over there on the western coast as well. How do we help them out? So little bit by bit, it's it's like eating an elephant. Thank you, Matt Alderton, if you're listening. Like eating an
One
elephant.
bite at a time.
Yeah, one bite at a time.
That's right. Yeah, I actually have ideas that are probably really shooting my shot. If I try to get their attention from people who would be in a position to help with that, and where the timing might be right for that. But I won't mention it out loud. I'll just have a look and see what I can pick up there. Yeah, it's just interesting when I see what people are saying in the news about investments they've made and what they regret, and they might want to do something useful. So, yes. Anyway, that's an aside. So, within the next 3 years, it'd be great to see Airqua supporting water generation for data centres for AI in Australia, and helping more people in Australia have access to clean water in a way that is independent from anything really, any government system, and just be able to take charge of one aspect of the health of their families. And then also working in, as you say, the subcontinent areas where they cope a lot of storms and have a lot of water that they can't drink, but they could be making their own. So that would be, I think they're very worthy goals. It's fantastic. Yeah. What would be the biggest struggle that you've come across so far?
Cash flow.
Yeah.
Cash flow. Any small business will probably be the same. So don't be afraid to, if you're going to start out on a small business, don't be afraid to go and do whatever you got to do to get that cash flow through. You've still got to eat. You've still got to pay the bills. You've still got to pay the mortgage, that type of thing. Don't put the pressure on yourself of having to scrape and scrounge every week for those essential dollars. So, whether you have to go and get part-time job, full-time job and do this on the side while you're growing it. I have a second business in the finance area, which provides me a little bit of cash flow, being able to provide loans and so forth to people. That helps balance the cash flow between projects that we're doing. So that's the number one thing. Make sure you get the cash flow, because it takes the pressure off yourself. It takes that mental stress, which can lead to some really, really dark places. Take that off your shoulders. So that's the number one thing. Get your cash flow right. Live frugally. And then plan out what can you actually get away with getting rid of to be able to just survive, and you'll be amazed. A good example of this is, how many subscriptions do you actually need? Are the kids watching Disney Channel anymore? Is anyone watching Netflix anymore? Or can you do other things for free, which we love? Do you need the best quality produce? Do you need to go out every week? Do you need to have a coffee every day? All these little things add up.
It's true. And it's an interesting theme in my vast experience of podcasting, or of episode 2. But Kim Guzzelli in the last episode talked about only being able to put money into a business that had been created from a business. And at the beginning, she felt like that was quite restrictive, but it's helped her make decisions in a smarter way and not buy things that she might have rushed to buy, the shiny object syndrome. And she's very grateful for it now that her business is growing and doing well and able to stand on its own 2 feet, having had that discipline in starting it. And I like hearing you say this, because we're in a world where, especially, as a marketer, I'm always conscious of what message I'm putting out, what products I'm representing, because I don't want to encourage people to buy crap they don't need, to be honest. And just that pull all the time, as you say, subscriptions, we need to all be reviewing those every month. Do I still need this? Do I not need this? Don't buy an annual subscription if it's something where the pace is changing so fast you may not need it in 6 weeks' time, even right now. And yes, what things in life don't you need? We actually recently cancelled our Netflix subscription because we just thought, this is ridiculous. We don't need to be paying this. Got better uses of our time, and I don't regret it. So I used to think frugal was kind of a bit not nice, a bit tight. And I rebelled against that for a long time, personally. But I've really just come to understand that it's just honouring yourself and your resources, and you actually feel far more abundant when you live within or below, below your means, so that you're rather than above. and always stressing about how things are going to be covered. It's, as you say, it can lead into a very dark place with your state of mind and your emotions, and you just don't need that pressure. There's enough to do in business with growing it without that sort of weight hanging over you. So I appreciate you saying that. It's really good. Really good.
Yeah, you're welcome. And one of the best decisions that I've made, we've made as a family, is when we came back from the US. Is that we bought a house, tiny house, in what was then a very, very unfashionable suburb, because we could afford it, and we built up equity. We ended up paying it off, and it allowed us to actually move to where we wanted to be, i.e. the Sunshine Coast. So that's a big thing for me, is where can you actually get away with living, with the world of being always connected? Where can you go and buy a house, be comfortable, and not have the stress of a massive mortgage on you? And what can we do as a society to make you comfortable out there and give you the resources that you need to be able to live out there?
Very powerful, isn't it? To eat clean, very clean water, and then think about what we're putting into our minds and how we live, I think is a good recipe, and just can turn things around faster than people realise. So I love what you're contributing there. Yeah. If there's anything else, if you were to say, to a business owner who might feel like they're struggling right now to know where the next client's coming from or the next sale, what would you say to them?
Keep going. Keep going. If it's something that you truly believe in, keep going, because you'll come through at the end. It is very tough out there. It's been a very, very tough year, and a lot of people are doing it tough. You're not by yourself. We've had a tough year. There's no doubt, because there's so much uncertainty in the world, economically, politically, that there's not a lot of investment going. People are hanging onto their dollars a little bit more. So you're not alone. Go and talk to other people in business groups, or just down the park, or what have you, about the struggles that they're having financially with their small business, because you're not alone. And there's people who there are people out there still in this world who genuinely want to help, and it can be, sorry, I know a person who actually wants what you need.
Yeah.
Sorry, what you give. So just keep going, and minimize your risk, minimize your downside, and get rid of everything that you don't need.
Fantastic advice. I think it's very wise, and it just helps bring a calm approach to growing a business, which I am all for. So thank you for that. I really appreciated your time today.
Yeah, thank you. And the last one too is stick your pride away as well. If you need to go to Macca's and flip burgers to get a couple of dollars on the table, go and do it.
Yes. Absolutely. There's a guy, actually, I'll connect him, and I'll put his Twitter handle in the description. I think he's called Mexican Magician on X. And his whole thing is dirty hands, clean money. And he's out there doing everything he can to stack his investments. And it's just out the gate. I don't care if I have to crawl through pipes and under houses and dig holes or whatever. I'm just doing it, and a great example of really good attitude, amazing work ethic, and totally focused on the mission at hand. So you're right. Get rid of the ego. Do whatever you need to do. Realize that success could happen, or even just enough success to get you to the next step, could happen in a way that you don't expect and at a time that you don't expect. They talk about luck being, the result of positioning yourself well. Years of hard work, don't they? The overnight success.
Yeah, that's right. It's the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Exactly.
But hard work doesn't need to be sitting there grinding in a computer or what have you. Work can be out there just talking.
Just
because those conversations can lead to another conversation. And I like the idea of a spider web. You're talking to someone who has all these connections, and you're talking to someone else. Part of those connections have all these connections. You end up with this framework of people that you can talk to.
I really like the idea of innovation happening in Australia. And to be honest, I've been a bit starved of finding examples of that for quite a long time. So seeing Airqua and what, the technology of how it's put together and what you're doing and your mission to really get out there and help people access clean drinking water in a way that they're not dependent on any system is very refreshing, which no pun intended.
Yeah, wait till you try a taste of it.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. So really, really good to see what you're doing and hear the story of how you started. When you started, I do have a question. When you left corporate, were you scared?
No, I was done. I worked my backside off. I won't tell you what age, but I was young and I was just done. I was done with all the nonsense. Mind you, I had a great career, had a great time in the video games industry, but it was all consuming. So it was just take this deep breath for about 6 months, and like I said, I went and mowed lawns and put the pride away, and just so I can do anything to make a quid. To make things might not be what I want to do at this point in time, but guess what? It's putting money on the table. From being a high flying job to picking up dirty nappies at the side of the road or something before you mowed. It's a big come down,
It is quite something, and I really like that you just did it. Honestly, total respect, and I think we need more of that. I think we're all getting a little bit soft and convenient, and kudos to you. Well done. It's good. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for your time, and definitely put links to your business in the description. And I do encourage anybody listening to go and have a look at Airqua and see where it can fit into your own setup at home or off grid, or for your business or for your data center. It's fantastic. Okay. Thank you, Jon.
Many thanks, Joe.
Okay.